Hey, good to have you back. What we're going to do now is do a melodic analysis of the great standard "Crazy" by Willie Nelson. By the way, I heard that Willie Nelson sold this tune for $50. I'm not kidding. He still got his name on it, but folklore says that he sold this tune for $50. Whoa, that was a bad move. All right, so melodic analysis. Um, why do we do a melodic analysis? Well, because we've got to find out where how to play the melody, and so there are a few things here that we can learn. This first little bit here is a four measure intro, and I'll sort of read this. It goes like. Those first notes. Let me explain those first notes, and I'll go to the next little phrase, so you can hear that those two phrases repeat themselves, right? And so what we've got is that D sharp moves up to the E of C, right? The third of C, and then we drop down to the five of C, right? Which is a nice little line. It really defines the tonal center, defines the chord of C. And then it does the same thing on the F chord. A lower neighboring tone, leading to the strong beat on the third of F, and then down to the fifth of the F chord, right? With a little line, and then this is really cool. This is all just triads. It's just like a little triad exercise. Right? So we've got these little triads F, right? And then I guess this is not isn't a triad really. You could play it like a three note chord, G7, and then that is an intro to now, and then this goes from down B flat. Yeah, B flat's fine. And then all that B flat is doing is just leading up to the A7 chord. You could play it as a seventh too, and the melody is. Now, what's significant with that melody is that it's all arpeggiated, right? It's just an arpeggio. We've got that a G sharp leading up to the A, just as we had in the intro, right? So and that, remember, which is really cool. It's sung as well. That lower neighboring tone is a very functional part of the melody, and we have this A7 arpeggio. And then that's the new D minor chord, right? Very lyrical melody. I can't think of a more lyrical melody than this tune. Offhand, it just works so beautifully. You can get away with almost just playing the melody by itself, with maybe the occasional chord underneath. Okay, so that arpeggio, right, and then the A. That A, now that A is significant. The reason the A is significant is because it doesn't belong in it's held over to the G7 chord, but it doesn't belong in the chord of G7. The notes of the G7 chord are G, B, D, and F. There's no A there. The A is the 13 of I'm sorry, the 9 of the chord, right? And so you'll want to grab that 9 of the chord, when you're playing a chord melody. Okay, and then so it's important to be able to recognize what notes are in the chord and what notes are out of the chord. That would be called an upper extension, like a ninth would be called an upper extension. Okay, and then we have so again just an arpeggio of the G triad, and then we have the G note right here, and then we have this little great little turnaround, and let's take a look at that. So melodically, we want to keep that melody, and then change the chord. In this case, right. So same melody. Held over or pedaled. It's called pedaled. And the word pedal, the term pedal means same note over a series of chords, and the term came from organ playing, where the organist would stick his foot on the same note, but there would be other notes, another chord progression played over the single bass note, and this you can reverse the same idea, right? So the same note with the chord or with the chord progression, a really common and very effective tool. Okay, and then we go back to our melody, second eight. Right, and you can, all of this sits beautifully, right in the middle of the fretboard, and that's important. There are chord melodies. There are lovely melodies of hundreds of them, but they don't necessarily all sit really nicely for the guitar. And so one of the things that we sometimes have to do is change up the key to make it sit nicely. In this case, the key of C sits beautifully, and this melody sits beautifully. So we have this arpeggio again, right? There's my D minor. See, all of these are chord tones. The melody they're not extensions. There's very few extensions here of the chords. Like we're not ending up on nines and ending up on 13s and so on, which are colorful and lovely, and that happens very often in jazz type melodic expression. But this is mostly diatonic, hanging right into the chord. So that's why it's so important to learn your triads, because with a tune like this, everything sits underneath your fingers. There's that ninth again. C, D minor, D sharp diminished, and then a C7 with an E in the bass. Why does that C7 have an E in the bass? So just because we want this ascending line here, right? And the continuity of that ascending line, C, D, D sharp connecting to a C, and then the C7 is being a secondary dominant, leading to the F6. So I'm just playing a little triad there. And there's this funny little thing that we'd had before. Again, all arpeggio. And then I'm just 13 maybe. That's an augmented 13. Same deal. Where am I? Oh, I'm sorry. And then we have that tag, that 4 measure tag. I lost my place. Oh, don't let anyone know. Then we have this 4 measure, the second 4 measures. So and then and then and let me do that again. Okay, so again, we have this all in triads, right? You're just walking through the chords in the key. So 4 chord, 3 chord, 2 chord. Now C sharp diminished seventh. That I'll tell you, that's a secondary dominant. It's acting as a secondary dominant. It could be an A7 as well. Hear how similar. And then I'm just playing the C this C second inversion. So I have, and then we'd have we'd have the C, the melody on top, and then we turn it around with a G7, and that's a G augmented 7, and then we start back to the beginning. I won't go through the modulation section right now, because I just want to stick to the body of the tune. There are tons of ways that you can finish up a tune. You don't have to play exactly this arrangement, but you do have to play the 32 in the middle, and the 32 measures have to be what they are. But as far as an ending goes, there's all sorts of different things that you can do. Okay. All right, so that's a bit of a melodic analysis of crazy, and you can see that it sits very comfortably on the fretboard, and it's not terribly difficult. So in prep for a tune like this, I would just work through my triads, right? G7. You get the idea, right? Just gently working my way through. That should have been a C sharp diminished, not a D sharp. Sometimes diminished chords are right, are confusing. So for me anyway. Now, yeah. So recognize where the triads are, and start to arpeggiate your triads. You get the idea, right? It's a wonderful way to work through a tune, right? So you're not just working through a bunch of exercises. What you're doing is working through the elements that are in a tune. And while you're working through those elements, you're keeping the melody in your mind all the time. And you'll see that working through a tune like this, the melody will begin to reveal itself. You'll hear that melody, right? So that you're not just playing chords and strumming along. What you want to do is get to the point where the chords are revealing the melody. The melody is coming out of the chords and presenting itself, and that's when you're really in a position to start thinking about playing a chord melody. Okay, good. I hope that was a help to you. And everything. Remember the lower neighboring tone. Okay, a lower neighboring tone is a note like this right at the very beginning that is not a chord tone, but it leads to a chord tone, right? So it leads up to a chord tone. And these lower neighboring tones are found in a few different places here. Here's one with lower neighboring tone leading to the 3, lower neighboring tone leading to the 3 of F, lower neighboring tone leading to the tonic of A. And there's a lower neighboring tone again leading to the tonic of A. And remember, again, it's the vocal tune. So, Willie would have just played this and on his guitar and sung along and figured it out. I think it's really cool that he came up with these lower neighboring tones as an intrinsic part of this lovely melody. Okay, if that was a help, click like, right, and subscribe if you like. We'd love to have you back again. It's fun to do this. It's fun to dig into great old standards. And if you have any questions, if there's a tune that you want to learn, just let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks very much for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.